The Cook. A historical fiction of love, identity and fate by S.J. Jepsen. Chapter 26. A Silent Promise. The soft crunch of gravel beneath Kate's boots echoed through the air, the sound crisp and rhythmic as she made her way through the vast Weatherby estate gardens. The April sun was warm but not overpowering, casting a golden glow over the perfectly manicured hedgerows, rose trellises, and winding stone paths that snaked through the expansive grounds. The air carried the scent of fresh lavender and damp earth, mingling with the lingering sweetness of early spring blossoms. Birdsong flitted between the tall oak trees lining the garden's edge, a melody so calm, so serene, and yet it could not quiet the storm inside her mind. No amount of fresh air or sunlit paths could erase what she had just learned. Thomas Hollingsworth was coming, and she, not Lydia, was expected to marry him. Kate exhaled slowly, feeling her corset press against her ribs as if trying to contain the chaos inside her. The fine lavender morning dress she wore, embroidered with delicate pearl threading, felt like a costume, a second skin that didn't quite belong to her. She walked faster, her steps carrying her deeper into the gardens, away from the looming stone walls of Weatherby House, away from the servants watching her every move, away from Margaret and Charles and their unshaken belief that their daughter had come home. But no matter how far she walked, she could never truly escape the weight of the lie. Then she saw him. Standing near the rose trellis, his hands clasped neatly behind his back, was Mr. Finch. Kate had noticed it before. The way Mr. Finch watched her. Not with suspicion exactly, but with careful calculation. As if he was always measuring something invisible, weighing it, deciding whether to acknowledge what he saw or let it pass, unspoken. Now, standing among the cascading roses, he turned at the sound of her footsteps. His expression was unreadable, his eyes steady, grey like river stone, sharp as a blade. Yet, when he inclined his head, his voice was as smooth as ever.
Miss Lydia.
The name twisted inside her like a thread pulled too tight. Hearing it attached to her was like wearing a crown that didn't fit. To everyone here, she was the same girl who had left for school, sailed on Titanic, miraculously survived, and returned to her rightful place. But not to Mr. Finch. She could feel it. He saw the difference. Kate let her fingers trail along the velvety petals of the nearest crimson rose, inhaling its delicate scent before she spoke.
It's beautiful out here.
Her voice was calm, measured, though her heart was hammering. Mr. Finch's lips twitched slightly, not quite a smile, but the shadow of one.
It has always been your favorite place to walk in the mornings, miss.
Was it a test? A subtle one, but a test nonetheless. Kate did not blink, did not flinch. She merely let the words pass through her like mist, absorbed them, became Lydia in a breathless second.
I suppose it still is.
Silence. A pause thick with something unspoken, delicate, fragile, like glass balanced on a ledge. Then,
You are not the same girl who left this house 8 years ago.
Kate's breath caught. She turned her head slowly, meeting his knowing gaze. Mr. Finch's expression remained calm, measured, like a man who had spent a lifetime choosing his words carefully, watching, listening, waiting. There was no accusation in his voice, no demand for answers, only truth spoken plainly, with an understanding that felt far too heavy for words. Kate's pulse thundered beneath her skin. She could deny it, could laugh lightly and say,
Well, after all I've been through, how could I be?
But they would both taste the lie. And there was Lydia's letter to consider. Kate had never read the words sealed inside. She didn't dare break the wax. Had Finch read it? Did he understand who now stood in her place? He offered no hint, no raised brow, no furtive glance. He still addressed her as Miss Lydia, maintaining the illusion as if the household depended on it. Perhaps it did. She searched his face, wondering if he might tell her, if he might whisper that Lydia had asked for help, or reassure her that he knew the truth. But Finch gave nothing away, a steadfast sentinel of normalcy amid the wreckage of secrets. So instead she met his gaze, let the silence deepen, and said the only honest thing she could.
Surviving something like that changes a person.
It was true. In every possible way, she had survived Titanic. She had survived becoming someone else. She had survived the moment she let Lydia's parents embrace her, call her daughter, believe she had come home. She had survived watching the only people who knew her real name disappear beneath the waves. Mr. Finch studied her for a long moment, his eyes flickering with something unreadable. Then he nodded once.
Indeed, miss, it does.
Something about the way he said it, deliberate, slow, meaningful, made the air shift around them. Was he telling her that he knew? Kate swallowed, her fingers tightening against the soft folds of her gloves.
I suppose I must focus on what is ahead, then.
Mr. Finch inclined his head.
Yes, miss.
His tone was sympathetic.
That would be wise.
They stood there, in the garden, surrounded by sun-drenched roses and neatly trimmed hedges. And yet Kate felt like they had just spoken in a language no one else could understand. Like he had just offered her something. Not a threat, not an interrogation, but a silent promise. Finally, Mr. Finch stepped back, clasping his hands behind his back once more.
If ever you require assistance, Miss Lydia, you need only ask.
Kate hesitated. It was the same thing he had said the night before. But now, it felt different. More like a reassurance, like he knew this wasn't really her home. Like he knew she would need someone on her side. Her throat tightened, but she managed a graceful nod, mirroring Lydia's effortless poise.
Thank you, Mr. Finch.
Finch inclined his head, an almost imperceptible nod, then stepped back into the role of perfect butler, as if the moment had never happened. And the house for now remained exactly as it needed to appear. Perfectly ordinary. Then he turned and walked away, disappearing down the path leading toward the house, his presence fading like a shadow in the morning light. Kate remained standing there, surrounded by lush roses, blue skies, and the warmth of the sun. Yet, all she could feel was the ghost of the life she had borrowed, haunting her every breath. She had survived another conversation, another test, another moment where the world could have unraveled beneath her feet. But Mr. Finch had not pushed. He had not demanded answers, and that meant one of two things. He was loyal to the Weatherby family above all else, willing to accept whatever version of Lydia had returned to them. Or he already knew the truth and was keeping it to himself for now. Kate walked briskly along the gravel path, her skirts brushing against the edges of the perfectly trimmed hedges as she made her way back to Weatherby House. The conversation with Mr. Finch replayed over and over in her mind, his words laced with careful meaning, calculated restraint. He had not accused her. He had not questioned her. But he had seen something. And now she was certain of one thing. He was watching. The grand estate loomed ahead, the massive windows catching the pale afternoon sun, casting long shadows over the manicured lawns. As she neared the servants' entrance, she noticed two figures standing near the back corridor. Evelyn and Sebastian. The personal maid and the sharp-eyed footman stood close together, speaking in low, hushed voices, their posture tense, their expressions unreadable. At first, they hadn't seen her. Kate could have turned away, slipped upstairs unnoticed, let them continue their conversation without interruption. But at the last second, Evelyn's cold green eyes flickered toward her. And in that brief, fleeting moment, Kate knew. They were talking about her. Something inside her stiffened. Instead of avoiding them, she stepped forward.
Good morning.
Evelyn's back straightened at once, her expression smoothing into effortless indifference, like a mask she had practiced wearing her whole life. Sebastian, however, did not shift at all. Instead, he merely watched her, his gaze slow and calculating, taking her in like a puzzle he was piecing together. Kate's skin prickled.
Good morning, Miss Weatherby.
Evelyn murmured smoothly, dipping into a perfectly executed curtsy. Kate nodded in return, keeping her features poised, elegant, unreadable. But it was Sebastian's voice that broke the silence first.
Did you enjoy your walk?
Sebastian asked lightly, his tone polite, casual enough to pass for small talk, but just pointed enough to feel like a thread he was tugging. Kate's pulse quickened. The question was casual, polite, and yet it wasn't. It was pointed, deliberate. Like he knew she had been walking for more than just fresh air. Like he suspected she had been speaking to someone she shouldn't have been speaking to. Kate tilted her chin slightly, keeping her expression calm, composed.
It was lovely, thank you.
Sebastian's lips curved at the edges, not a smile. Something closer to amusement or satisfaction. Like he had confirmed something he already suspected. She glanced at Evelyn then, hoping for an easier read, but the red-haired maid was impossible to decipher. She wasn't questioning Kate outright. She wasn't challenging her. She was waiting, watching, measuring every move. Sebastian shifted, tucking his hands behind his back in an easy, too relaxed posture.
It's been a long time since you were last here, Miss Weatherby.
There it was again, that weight behind the words, that test. Kate nodded gracefully, as if she weren't unravelling inside.
Yes, it does feel like it's been quite a while.
Sebastian's head tilted slightly, the movement slow, precise.
Some of the staff weren't sure what to expect, seeing you again.
Kate held his gaze. Another trap. Another moment where one wrong answer could split everything apart. She gave a soft, calculated sigh.
I imagine it must be strange for everyone,
she said, her voice measured, careful, delicate.
I'm sure I seem different to some of them.
Evelyn's eyebrow lifted slightly. Sebastian's lips twitched, just barely.
Well, some of the older ladies mentioned it.
Kate's stomach turned. Was that an observation? Or was it something more? Did he know? Did he suspect? Or was he simply waiting for her to slip? For the first time since the conversation began, Evelyn finally spoke. Her voice smooth as silk, too controlled, too careful.
You must be exhausted, Miss Weatherby.
Kate blinked. It was an odd statement, one that shifted the conversation entirely. Evelyn's green eyes flickered with something unreadable as she added,
A great deal has changed for you, hasn't it? So much to adjust to after everything.
Kate inhaled slowly. Evelyn's words were carefully chosen, too carefully. Not accusing, not outright questioning, but watching, testing. Kate had to tread lightly. She gave a small, polite nod, as though she was simply a young woman dealing with the aftermath of a great tragedy.
Yes, but I'll manage.
Evelyn smiled then, a polished, flawless smile, but there was something behind it. A glint of curiosity, a flicker of knowing. Sebastian remained silent, arms loosely crossed, his eyes unwavering. Kate felt like prey being circled, not out of cruelty, not out of malice, but out of curiosity. They were measuring her, and whether they spoke it aloud or not, they could feel the difference. The conversation hung between them, stretched thin like a fragile thread. Kate had answered perfectly. She had not slipped. She had not broken character. And yet, Sebastian and Evelyn had both seemed to observe something in her. Not proof, not certainty, but a feeling. A quiet, lingering feeling that the girl who had returned from the Titanic was not the same Lydia who had left. Sebastian exhaled, nodding slightly before stepping back. Evelyn held Kate's gaze a moment longer, then murmured,
If you ever need anything, miss, you only have to ask.
Kate stilled. It was the same thing Mr. Finch had said. Another offer. Another warning. She didn't know which. Did Evelyn want to protect her? Or did she want to know the truth? Kate gave a small nod.
Thank you.
Evelyn curtsied. Sebastian gave one last glance. And then they were gone. Kate stood there for a long moment, her heart still beating too fast. She had survived another conversation. Another test survived. Another mask held firm. But they had left with something. Not proof. Not yet. But enough to keep watching. They were loyal to the Weatherby name, willing to accept whatever version of Lydia had returned to them. Or they already knew the truth and were just waiting to see what would happen next.